Tonight on Reporting Scotland, a man is charged with murder after the death of a scientist who was found seriously injured in Dundee. Flowers and messages of condolence have been left at the scene of Dr. Fortune Gomo's death in the Lochee area of the city.
I've not been able to sleep very well since Saturday when I heard about it, so we're all shocked.
Also on tonight's programme, a paramedic who secretly gave a pregnant woman an abortion drug, killing their unborn child, is jailed for 10 years.
In addition to the physical pain you caused, your actions have caused clearly significant and long-term psychological injury.
In his sentencing, the judge said Stephen Doohan had used resources available to him as a paramedic to commit his crime. CalMac bids to recover millions of pounds of repair costs for a ship that's been out of action for 18 months and still isn't fixed. Police raid 3 properties in Glasgow over suspected human trafficking.
Coming up in the sport, Cameron Norrie is into the quarter-finals at Wimbledon, where he faces Spanish superstar Carlos Alcaraz.
Hello, I'm Laura Goodwin. Welcome to Monday's programme. A man has appeared in court charged with murder after the death of a woman who was found seriously injured in Dundee. Dr. Fortune Gomo was described as an exceptional scientist and had told her family she had everything she wanted in life. Tributes have been continuing throughout the day, as Louise Hosey reports.
Dr. Fortune Gomo would have turned 40 on August the 1st. On Saturday, she died here on Dundee's South Road after being found with serious injuries. Today, the floral tributes gathered from a community immersed in shock.
It's sad, so, sadness does not have a relationship, you know what I mean? So when you hear that something bad like this has happened to someone, you just want to, share your own condolence as well. We are all shocked, we are all shocked, we are all shocked. I've not been able to sleep very well since Saturday when I heard about it, so we're all shocked.
Everybody's devastated by this. It's just sad. The community is devastated.
Fortune, who was originally from Zimbabwe, worked for Scottish Water. They said she was an exceptional scientist. She also had a PhD from Dundee University and had worked there as a research assistant.
Fortune's family say they're still in shock at her death and that they talked to her earlier that day. Her brother told the BBC she was the eldest of 4 siblings and had been known as the deputy parent. They talked about throwing her a 40th birthday party in a couple of weeks, but she told them that she had achieved and had everything she wanted, so it would be a quiet celebration.
A nearby pub is holding a fundraising event for Fortune's family this weekend.
We have had a phenomenal response, like through the Facebook page, everything. People have been phoning all morning with donations and stuff like that. The local businesses and the community are coming together for obviously this event on Sunday, because this is not what Lochee or Dundee is about.
20-year-old Kyler Rattray appeared at Dundee Sheriff Court today charged with murder. He made no plea and was remanded in custody. Police have said Fortune's family is being supported by specialist officers and they don't believe there's any wider risk to the public. Louise Hosey, Reporting Scotland, Dundee.
Stephen Doohan was a clinical team leader with the Scottish Ambulance Service. He held a position of trust. Today he begins a 10-and-a-half-year prison sentence after he secretly gave a pregnant woman an abortion drug, killing their unborn baby. Last May he pleaded guilty to assault, sexual assault and causing the woman to have an abortion. Passing sentence, the judge said the offences he had committed were almost as serious as any the court is ever asked to sentence. Katrina Renton was in court.
Stephen Doohan was a clinical team leader with the Scottish Ambulance Service. He had been one of the faces of this documentary series, a trusted role. But in May this year, the 33-year-old pleaded guilty to secretly giving an abortion drug to a woman he was in a relationship with, causing her to lose their baby. Today, he was sentenced.
The effects of what you did to her are eloquently set out in the victim's statement provided to the court. Anyone reading that statement would be moved by its terms and by the raw pain that radiates from it. In addition to the physical pain you caused, your actions have caused clearly significant and long-term psychological injury. Taken together, the offences committed by you are frankly almost as serious as any this court is ever asked to sentence.
Doohan met the woman in Spain while on holiday in 2021. He did not tell her he was married and they remained in contact. She found out she was pregnant with his child in March 2023. By this time, he had temporarily separated from his wife. And he and the woman had agreed they wanted to keep the child. The court heard a couple of days after Doohan learned the news, the woman was at his rented Edinburgh home. She was in bed when he did something she could not see. The next day, the woman began to suffer stomach cramps. The court heard that now suspicious, the woman looked under the mattress. She found star-shaped tablets and a syringe with pills crushed inside. She searched online and found matching images for drugs that induce a termination. The woman was in pain and went to hospital. She later suffered a miscarriage. The court heard Doohan bought the woman gifts to keep her quiet, but ultimately she made a complaint to the Scottish Ambulance Service and the information was passed to the police. Today the judge was told that despite what he's done, the woman forgives him. Now this once trusted paramedic begins a lengthy jail sentence. He's also on the sex offenders register.
Katrina is with us now. How common is a crime like this?
Well, Laura, this is an extraordinarily unusual case. Now, I understand it is one of a few, if any, of cases of this kind to have been prosecuted in Scotland. Now, the content of what you heard in my report, of course, is very upsetting. The judge, Lord Colbeck, said that the loss of the baby had left the victim facing a lifetime of pain and loss. Now, not only does Stephen Doohan face a lengthy jail sentence, but he is also on the sex offenders register and he's been given a non-harassment order where he's prohibited from approaching or contacting or trying to approach or contact the woman for an indeterminate period. Now, the Crown Office said this evening, while offences like this are thankfully rare, I hope this prosecution sends a clear message to all those who seek to inflict sexual harm towards women.
This is a shocking story, but all the more so because he was in such a trusted profession.
Well, yes, as we said, what more of a position of trust could you hold in the community dealing with people at their most vulnerable? Now, the court heard that Stephen Doohan used resources available to him through his work to research what he did to the woman. He used a work login to get information about the drug and that he planned his actions. Now, he no longer works for the Scottish Ambulance Service, and in a statement today, they said, as soon as we learned of these very serious allegations and charges, we immediately took action. We know nothing will change what has happened to the victim, and all we can hope is this sentence provides some comfort to them. A very shocking crime, Laura.
OK, Katrina, many thanks indeed. Some of the day's other stories now. 2 men have appeared at Edinburgh Sheriff Court charged with murder in connection with the death of a teenager after a disturbance in West Lothian. Emergency services attended the incident at a property in Broxburn in the early hours of Friday morning. 18-year-old Adam Nevin, who was one of 3 people taken to the Royal Infirmary of Edinburgh for treatment, died yesterday. Police say 2 more men have been arrested in connection with the incident. 2 men have been arrested and charged after a series of fires in Aberdeen over the weekend. 5 outbreaks were reported in the Maastricht and Northfield areas of the city between Friday and Sunday. No one was injured, but properties and a car were damaged. Police Scotland says the fires were reckless and violent. Extra patrols will be in the areas over the coming days. Scotland's first dedicated college for students with complex and additional needs has been granted funding for another 2 years. The pilot scheme at Corsford College in Renfrewshire will receive up to £1.4 million from the Scottish Government to continue until 2027. The college offers opportunities to young people aged 18 to 25 whose needs cannot be met in mainstream education. And a 15-year-old from County Armagh has become the youngest person to swim solo from Northern Ireland to Scotland. Oscar Black completed the challenge last Wednesday in 16 hours and 38 minutes. As the crow flies, the distance is 21.7 miles apart, but due to strong currents, he actually covered 28.5 miles. He says despite enduring 20 jellyfish stings, he's glad he did it.
I must have seen, I'd say, well over 100 jellyfish. Not all of them stung me. I think I got about 10 or more stings from feet, hands, forearms. But the sting doesn't hurt as much when you're in the water. It's when you get home, the itchiness of it.
Police raided 3 properties in Glasgow today over suspected human trafficking. Detectives targeted flats believed to house cannabis farms run by victims of modern slavery from Southeast Asia. 3 men were detained by police in the operation. Our social affairs correspondent Chris Clements has this report.
A raid in a flat in the north of Glasgow this morning, looking for what police say is a cannabis cultivation. A number of plants are said to be found upstairs, but the focus isn't just drugs. The force believes someone working the crop in the property has been trafficked from overseas.
Now, we're told by police that they have found a Vietnamese man in the upstairs flat there. They've also found a cannabis cultivation. So at the moment, police officers are speaking to him to try and ascertain whether or not he is the victim of modern slavery.
The flat was one of 3 raided across the city as police targeted a major organised crime group operating across Scotland. Detectives believe the gang rent properties like this one to grow cannabis and recruit vulnerable people of various nationalities, bringing them here to be exploited as part of the operation.
It's a highly professional and well organised group. The cultivations tend to be multiple growing areas within a house, and you're looking at a large number of plants at various stages. In this address here, 1 male has been arrested. Often these people are victims of human trafficking, and we have to make sure the support services and support networks are there for them, and ultimately they can be assessed as being a victim than an accused.
They'll examine whether the Vietnamese man upstairs should be referred to the Home Office for Modern Slavery. The man was one of 3 arrested in today's raids. While his alleged role in a drugs farm may be over, his journey through the justice system is just beginning. Chris Clements, reporting Scotland, Glasgow.
Ferry operator CalMac is trying to recover millions of pounds of repair costs for a ship that hasn't sailed for 18 months and still isn't fixed. The MV Caledonian Isles was in dry dock in Merseyside undergoing repairs. CalMac says issues were discovered on its return and now want compensation from the firm that carried out the work. Our transport correspondent David Henderson reports.
The MV Caledonian Isles, for 30 years a mainstay of the CalMac fleet, serving the island of Arran. But for now, it's stuck in Greenock as engineers try to fix a problem with its propeller. It's now been out of service 18 months. For part of the time, it was here at the Camel Laird shipyard near Liverpool for a highly complex repair operation. On its way home, the crew reported problems. A deformed hull was discovered, so more work was needed.
And that repair bill has now reached almost £11 million. That's the equivalent of around a quarter of what CalMac spend on annual maintenance for their entire fleet. It's clear they're not prepared to take that hit.
We've learnt the ferry operator is seeking compensation from Camel Laird. The shipyard has declined to comment. All this left a gap in the CalMac fleet and problems for islanders with an Arran ferry which didn't berth at Ardrossan, the nearest mainland port. That changed today for the first time in 6 months, but campaigners say it's a stopgap measure.
The ferry was busy this morning, it was full to capacity, all the cars were lined up, it was quite emotional and lovely to see, tooted the horns and waves, etc. But this is only for 2 weeks, we've been told. There's not really anything beyond that. We've not been told anything.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
At this restaurant close to the harbour, they're feeling the effects of problems with the ferry service.
It's very frustrating, you know. From a business point of view as well, we need to look into the future and look after our staffing levels as well. I want to give employment, long-term employment, but we're at a standstill just now with the footfall not coming through Ardrossan. You know, we don't know where the future is.
CalMac say other vessels will be moved around the network to fill gaps in service. But until they have a full quota of ferries, they'll face an ongoing challenge. David Henderson, reporting Scotland, Ardrossan.
Well, Amy is with us now. What is coming up on the 7 tonight?
Well, Laura, as we were hearing from David there, for the first time in 6 months, the quicker Ardrossan to Arran ferry route did reopen, and we're going to be joined by the chairman of Arran for Ardrossan Harbour, Willie Hume, to talk about why the harbour upgrade is so important for people in Ardrossan and the many businesses there. So we're going to be looking at that in a lot more detail. And how do you feel about camping out before a gig, Laura? Is that something you would do?
I've done it once, many years ago.
Many years ago. Well, we are speaking to some super fans of the Oscar and Grammy Award-winning musician Billie Eilish, who's in Glasgow tonight. Many fans queuing out ahead of that.
She's probably worth camping out for, I think.
Yes, I would say so. I'd say so.
Sounds good. All right, Amy, thank you
Thanks,
very much
Laura.
indeed. Tonight's main news again. A man is charged with murder after the death of a scientist who was found seriously injured in Dundee. Flowers and messages of condolence have been left at the scene of Dr. Fortune Gomo's death in the Lochee area of the city.
And still to come in the sport, we hear from the Scottish superbike racer, fresh from a successful weekend at Knockhill.
Now, over the years, we've become used to the restrictions around carrying liquids when we fly, and perhaps on occasion having to pour out liquids over the 100 millilitre limit. But now Edinburgh Airport has become the first airport in Scotland to lift that rule, meaning passengers can now take containers holding up to 2 litres through security and won't need to remove them from their bags. Cameron Buttle reports.
Around 16 million people go through here each year. Edinburgh is Scotland's busiest airport. And now it's the first north of the border to change the rules about the liquids you can take through security. The rule used to be a maximum of 1 litre of liquid, all in containers up to a maximum of 100 millilitres. Now you can take up to 2 litre bottles through, as many as your hand luggage allowance permits. And it can stay in your hand luggage as it goes through the scanners.
It means anything a bit bigger than 100 ml is going to be okay, and it just gives people more flexibility and less hassle and less checks we need to do, so less bags will be rejected, and therefore the whole process is going to be a lot smoother.
The new system has been welcomed by passengers today, especially a returning hen party.
We are absolutely dying.
And what you just discovered you can take?
We just discovered we can take our big bottles of water through. I'm so excited.
Because you were trying to chug it to get...
We were trying to chug it to get before we got to security, but this is brilliant.
I mean, it's so much easier. It makes life a lot easier getting through security, not having to take everything out your bags.
But you didn't know, you had no idea?
No idea.
Just left it to her?
Yeah.
Did you know that that's just a change that you're able to do today?
Oh, no, didn't know, but I hope so. We do it in Rome, so we are able to bring waters and bottles like this. So hope
Today is the first day that you can do that here.
Oh, that's wonderful and amazing.
The rules on liquids date back nearly 20 years. Security experts say passengers should have total confidence in the new systems.
What my team are now being presented with is a 3D X-ray image. So if you think about an MRI scanner in a hospital, which creates a 3D image of whatever the body's looking at, that's exactly what my staff are getting with the X-ray image. So they now have a 3D X-ray image of the cabin bag.
So this is the first day the new system has been in operation. It means you can take a bottle this size right through security with no problems at all. But there is a warning from staff here at Edinburgh Airport. Be careful. When you're coming back through your return airport, they might not have this system in place and you won't be allowed to do this. Staff also point out that any metal bottles, no matter the size, will always have to be empty before going through security. Cameron Battle, Reporting Scotland, Edinburgh.
Well, time now for sport, and Lewis is here. I have to say, our household is fully immersed in Wimbledon now.
It's getting into the interesting stage now, isn't it? And Cameron Norrie still going strong.
Yes.
It's shaping up to be really interesting, Laura. Can't wait to see what happens this week. Cheers. Hello there. Yes, Cameron Norrie says that he faces an opponent in Carlos Alcaraz, who looks untouchable as the Scot prepares to take on the defending champion in the quarter-finals of Wimbledon. Norrie spurned a match point before eventually wrapping up his quarter-final 2 hours later against Nicolas Jarry, while Alcaraz has been spending his rest days in London playing golf with a recently retired tennis great. Paul Barnes reports.
Not for the first time, Cameron Norrie is the last Brit standing. And what a way to clinch his spot in the quarter-finals of Wimbledon.
I'm enjoying on the court, off the court more than ever, and I think it's just a little bit lucky and a little bit fortunate to get these wins. But we take it, and it shows the hard work and the professionalism. It was never faded, and yeah, I'm happy to be through.
This is familiar territory for Norrie. He reached the semi-finals 3 years ago, but to repeat that, he'll need to cause an historic upset and beat the Spanish superstar who's going for his third straight Wimbledon crown, Carlos Alcaraz.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the match, and I'm going to have to play my best to have a chance with him. It's probably his best surface. He's probably his most confident after winning that match in Paris. He looks like he's untouchable at the moment. He's just enjoyed himself in Ibiza, so he's confident, he's smiling, and I'm going to have to do the same and enjoy my tennis as much as him and execute everything to have a chance with Charlie.
Untouchable, but not unbeatable. This is the tale of the tape. Norrie won their last meeting 2 years ago in Brazil, although Alcaraz is 4-2 up in the overall head-to-head. The Spaniard didn't have it all his own way against Andrei Rublev, coming back from a set down under the centre court roof. And while most top players would be spending their rest days on the practice court, the world number 2 has been taking a different approach, catching up with Andy Murray. Remember him? Over 18 holes of golf, with Alcaraz revealing it was the fiercely competitive Scot who prevailed in their latest encounter.
We're playing in his home, so it could be really bad for him, if I beat him, in his home. So I let him win, once, but yeah, I lost against him as a player, as a coach in the golf course, so I'm not going to play against him anymore. So
losing on the course, but winning on the court, as Alcaraz teed up a last 8 clash with Cameron Norrie. Paul Barnes, Reporting Scotland.
Now, some motorsport, and Perth's Rory Skinner here says that he's fired up for more race wins after 3 podium finishes at the British Superbike Championships meeting at Knockhill at the weekend. The 23-year-old came third, second and then first in wet conditions in Fife to accelerate up to third in the season standings with 7 meetings and 21 races left in the campaign. Brands Hatch is the next stop later this month, and Skinner's victory capped a successful comeback from a double leg break a year ago.
I was so happy with the results to get 2 podiums and then finish off the weekend with a win. It was just fantastic. Back on the grind for Brands Hatch. I'm even more fired up now to continue this streak. It's been a good start to the season so far, but now getting that first win of the year, it's makes me want more. So yeah, I won't stop training, make sure I'm as fit and as strong as I can be going into Brands Hatch and for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, recovering from a leg break would be one thing. A double leg break, even more impressive. So well done to Rory there.
Absolutely. Wind a bit problematic for superbikes.
Yes, indeed.
Great though, Judith, for getting the washing done.
I know, one of the simplest pleasures in life, isn't it? Getting your washing dried. And I think we'll have a good week for that as well.
Yeah.
So,
Lewis, did you get your washing done?
Oh yes, I'm on it. Don't
You're a new man, are you?
Good lad.
well trained. Well done, Mrs. Lewis. A very good evening to you. Well, there was a lovely day there across the East Neuk of Fife, although we had, there it is there behind me, we did see a few sharp showers across the east. They'll continue to die away this evening, but it's all about high pressure this week, and it's going to take the energy out of any Atlantic fronts coming our way over the next couple of days. And the high builds in nicely, and with this high high pressure is going to come a lot of warm air, in fact hot by the end of the week. As far as this evening is concerned, as I mentioned, those showers will continue to die away, dry with late sunshine, then clear spells during the overnight period. Temperature-wise, it could be quite chilly for some, maybe as low as 3 or 4 Celsius through parts of Aberdeenshire, Angus and maybe the eastern borders as well. We're typically 6 to 8 degrees. Into tomorrow, a cool, fresh start to the day, but dry with lots of sunshine initially. And as we head through the day, we will start to see one of those fronts trying to make inroads across western Scotland. Come the afternoon, there'll be a wee bit of cloud coming into the Northern Isles, but still bright with some sunshine, mainly light winds coming in from the west as well. But good spells of sunshine for eastern Scotland, maybe a bit hazier further inland, and temperatures into the low 20s, so we'll feel some warmth here as well. Widely up to 18, 19 Celsius, and with shelter from Northern Ireland, I think southwest Scotland will hang on some brighter sunny spells. But here comes that front through Kintyre, the Argyll Isles, up the west coast, and some bits and pieces of patchy rain associated with that front as well. As we head into tomorrow evening, well, a fine end to the day for most of us, but that front starts to gather in the west. Cloud starts to filter inland, the odd spot of rain or drizzle, turning quite misty and murky for western coastal areas. Still some clear spells across eastern Scotland. Some sunshine first thing in the east on Wednesday, and damp in the west and murky as well, and the Northern Isles too. But it should stay dry in the east, and some high temperatures here up to the mid-20s, I think, by Wednesday. But the rest of the week, it does turn predominantly dry, a bit cloudier on Thursday, I think, for some, but the temperatures are set to rise maybe into the high 20s come the end of the week. A wave at heat rather than a heat wave.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Thank you.
Summer
very
is
much.
here again.
Yes, I know. Went away for a wee bit, but it's back. Thank you, Judith. Now, tonight's main news again. Family, friends and colleagues pay tribute to a 39-year-old scientist killed in Dundee on Saturday. Dr. Fortune Gomo, who was originally from Zimbabwe, had graduated with a PhD from Dundee University and recently started working for Scottish Water. And a paramedic who secretly gave a pregnant woman an abortion drug, killing their unborn child, is jailed for 10 years. 33-year-old Stephen Doohan was a clinical team leader with the Scottish Ambulance Service. And that's where we leave you. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.